What is up, dudes, dudettes, and all my beautiful people of the interwebs? It is Saturday, so you know what that means. It is time to go beyond. Thank you for joining the Smash Podcast. Welcome to the United States of Smash. And I gotta say, we've been talking about it on a lot of different shows, but a lot of news and a lot of things are happening right now for us. And this is probably going to be one of our most controversial episodes because we're going into some big controversy happening across the industry from both anime and TV shows. So we're about to get into it. But before we do that, as always, we got your favorite group of frauds here on the panel, as well as a brand new person making his appearance in the United States here. So we're going to introduce him. So let's go ahead and start off with our superstar. He's a man who's always there, posted up himself. Mr. Post Up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Mr. Let's talk about it. And we definitely going to talk about it. Got a great show today. Let's get it.
All right. It's good to have you out here, my man. And of course, we have our master artist and millionaire man himself, Mr. Soul King. What's good with your soul?
What is good, everybody? You know, I'm getting ready to talk about these good-ass topics. Let's get it.
Oh, absolutely, man. We got some great topics today. And of course, as always, we got our resident fraud and man with no plan, Mr. Operation.
What's up, y'all? Good to be here. It's gonna be a wild day. Some of these topics, man.
It is absolutely going to be a wild day, I'll tell you that. And I know for Super G, he's actually going to be in here in a few minutes. He's running a little bit late. Man decided to go be fat and had to go to the Mickey D's, but his tire went out on him, so you know how it is. But we're going to catch up with him when he gets in here. But first up, we're going to start off with some of our lighter topics before we hit the big stuff because, yeah, what we got going on is not pleasant whatsoever. So the first thing we want to talk about is let's see here. Krypton. We were actually just talking about Krypton and talk about Superman. So we're going to go ahead and start off with that. Is that Krypton was a surprising success for sci-fi channels, especially doing a story about what led to Superman coming to Earth. And after having a villain like Brainiac for the first season, a lot of people were wondering what they're going to do for the second season. Well, about a week ago, they revealed the art and character design, and the villain for next season is actually going to be Lobo himself, which is actually pretty interesting. And we actually have some of the early pictures of how he looks, and the design isn't too bad. The biggest issue right now is mainly the eyes, but a lot of that can be adjusted come post-production when they actually animate it. But they have from him covered in face paint, the dreadlocks, the markings on his face and everything. The character design for Lobo is very well spot on. So it's just kind of how the actor is going to portray him, as well as what little touch-ups they do in post-production to give him a little bit more of that feel. Has anyone seen any of this post-up? Have you seen the new pictures of Lobo for season 2 of Krypton?
Nah, I'm looking that up right now. Let me see. Oh, nice.
You checking it out? What you think?
I'm looking at. Oh wow, that's cool. Yo, that looks pretty dope.
It does look pretty good, right?
Yeah. Looking at the animated version of them, and then looking at the how close they got to him in the real version, that's gonna be pretty dope. You look like a badass. Yep.
All right, that's good to hear. I'm glad you think of that. So, what do you think about the new the character design for Krypton's version of Lobo?
Can you hear me? Because my mic's probably gonna be cutting in and out.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I think it looks all right. I just wish it was kind of bigger, you know. But because you know he's like a brawly type of character, and you know hopefully I hope that they actually bring his pet with them, you know, because he has I think he has a pet dog. I think I want to see how they
portray the bounty hunter aspect of him.
His powers, because you know he's not even from his blood, anything a part of his body, and like, cause he can always come back from a plant. There's a scene in the comic where he comes back from like taking over a body of a frog and building his body from like the frog. Like I want to see how they portray Lobo, because he's a crazy character.
I think it'll be interesting for sure, because Lobo is a really cool character that just doesn't get a lot of attention sometimes.
Hopefully, because like there's been rumors that back in it probably like a year ago, they were trying to make a Lobo movie. So maybe if the fans like the way Lobo is portrayed on the show, they might give it a try on the big screen.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because I do want to see Lobo in more stuff. I honestly, Lobo's one of my favorite characters and villains for him, because one, like, what's not cool about a Spanish-speaking bounty hunter in space that rides around on a motorcycle? Like, that's badass.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a dope character. He's like a mix between like Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yeah, that is definitely probably one of the best descriptions of him. What do you think about this?
Wolverine and Deadpool? Oh my god.
Yeah, he has the regeneration powers as well as the brutality of him. And he's a bounty hunter, so
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I actually seen the picture of Lobo. Actually looks pretty good. I have the same critique as Saul. He's not built. He's not as bulky as Lobo should be, but like, I mean, to find that kind of look might be a little difficult. So what they have right now is pretty good, though. And like his eyes, though, people complain about him. I'm looking at this shit right now. That shit pierces your soul, man. I don't know what they complain about. Like what were the complaints they have with the eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the eyes are just the biggest thing, but I mean, they got the contacts in for him and everything, and what they do in post production will definitely help to kind of solidify a lot of.
What didn't they like about him? You know what they say? Like, what didn't they like about his eyes?
Yeah, they were just saying because of the fact that it wasn't red enough, as well as the fact that there's still an iris, because Lobo doesn't actually have an iris. Like, they're straight, pure red eyes.
Yeah, all that'll come post-production, because I was kind of surprised with the first season in the production in terms of the Brainiac and all the effects and stuff like that. Like, they really did an amazing job. When I first started, I thought it was going to be like one of those cheesy shows, kind of B-budget shows. But as I got into the season, man, it was really, really well done. I think all that, like you said, will come post-production.
Definitely. And that's definitely not how I'm feeling about it. Because once they do that, they'll definitely help tone up a lot of it. But the art that they already have going and everything else, I mean, it already looks phenomenal.
Yeah, they nailed looking at him pretty good. I just want to see how they depict him in the show. That's a real test right there, how they actually handle him in the show.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and step on to the next topic from here. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is new animes being announced for upcoming seasons. 2 of them have already been announced. And I'm going to say one of them I had already called because I had the strongest feeling. And the other one is not too surprising. But Attack on Titan Season 4, as well as Season 4 of My Hero, has been announced for coming out in April during the spring season of anime in 2019. And if anyone goes back, I think even maybe 3 episodes, 3 weeks ago, I had talked about when they made the announcement during the season finale of My Hero, when they announced Season 4, that more than likely we're not going to see Season 4 until the spring season, because that would be the biggest break between, winter or the end of the fall season and winter season, to get ready for that time with them doing these 2 courses, and called it exact. And with Attack on Titan right now running in the fall, it's gonna end just before the winter season, so them coming back in the spring makes the most sense on time frame, with the way that they've been kind of cranking it out now that they actually had the backlog of chapters to support the content, which is kind of why we had that drought for so long after season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all feel about this with these announcements? Posa, what are your thoughts?
I love it. To me, that's not too far. The spring is pretty much right around the corner. We're going into we're in the fall right now. When it pick up, time is flying by fast, man. These months are going by fast. So, I mean, I love it. The biggest upset with me with certain animes is that I watch it and I get into it, but then you have that like 2, maybe 3 year span before you see the next season. So if they're coming out in April, then I'm all for it. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. And with them definitely splitting up a lot of their seasons between multiple seasons, it helps out a lot with them not over trying to do too much for too long, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Up, what are your thoughts on it, my man?
I mean, I'm not honestly surprised. Maybe a little bit. Not as surprised with Attack on Titan because I know when the show first aired, it was like this long ass hiatus between the first into the second season.
Yep.
And now that they actually get back on it, they're gonna start picking up season after season now. So that wasn't much of a surprise for me. My Hero Academia is too popular for him to take a break from that, like an extended break from the season between seasons. So yeah, this is for me. I expected it, and plus I already read the manga, so I'm a little bit ahead of everybody. So if there was going to be season, was not going to be, I was going to be fine anyway. But it's good. It's good that they're announced. The confirmation gives to the fans, know that they're coming, what to expect next April, and for spring as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's definitely how I feel with the kind of like worldwide appeal that My Hero has, that they can't slow down with that. But they also, the creator already had a surplus of stuff. They just got to make sure they maintain the right pacing, which they seem to be doing fairly well, to make sure that they don't rush too far through the story too fast, you know?
Exactly.
So that's the biggest thing. So that's definitely good. And with Attack on Titan, they definitely need to step up right now with their timing, now that they finally started pulling a lot of their people back. So that's always a good thing to see as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, especially with My Hero, that was a given, but I understand why they put it in spring. They just want, because this is going to be their best season by far, especially because it's the overall arc. So it's like they're just trying to make sure everything is, top tier quality. It's probably going to be movie quality, honestly. And
it has to be, bro. It has to be. That's happening.
This is going to be, this is going to be the season that everybody, looks at. This is going to be the One Punch Man season 1, the Attack on Titan season 1 of My Hero. So this is where everybody's going to look at it for attention. It's going to be God. And like Captain Air, I'm glad they're making a movie about that. So to continue on from the first season. So that's really good.
All right, yeah, definitely. I think that it's definitely had that appeal since it came out. But if with what you've been saying and what the way that Op and G have talked about this upcoming chapters, is definitely going to be a very big story arc for this. So I definitely think it's going to have that bigger appeal that everyone's going to be talking about.
Yeah, because this season, cause I've been looking at how they do their seasons in the anime and how they do the manga. This entire season is going to be entirely the overhaul arc. It's going to be nothing but that. So it's going to be really good.
Alrighty. But yeah, man, it's definitely going to be a good time with the spring season definitely coming up, as that's going to be the best time for a lot of series to make their returns and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, the spring is a dope time too.
It really is. I feel like the spring season is always the lightest because that's when a lot of the newer series try to make their come out, as well as some of the bigger returning ones. So spring season and is always going to be like your big time, if not in the winter season, when you're going to see all your big name returning shows coming back.
Yep.
Right. Isn't it One Punch Man for 2020? Right.
It is coming out. No, it is coming out 2019 in April as well, I believe.
Oh,
okay. I'm going to push back another year. Okay, I'm sorry, brother.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm thinking they push back another year because they want to put more time into it.
I don't know if anybody's really excited because the theme of One Punch Man has just completely fallen dead, honestly.
Yo, I watched that out of the blue on Netflix. We just getting it, just need something to watch anime, right? And oh my god, Oh my God!
Yeah,
this was brother. Man, that punch knocked the whole mountain away. Like, hey, this was an amazing show. And this what I was just previously talking about, where you get into a show the first season, and then it's just this long time span in between the next season. And I immediately after watching it, because I know it had been out for a while, I immediately started looking for a second season, and I was like, I gotta wait for it. But I didn't know it was gonna take this long. But that is an amazing show.
Yeah. Like the studio said they want to take extra time, make sure you get it right, which is understandable, but it's a double-edged sword at the same time.
People are even like nervous because they switch studios and stuff like that. So
yeah. There's definitely a lot of pressure on second season.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I know how you feel about it, so because you read the manga and the webcomic, and it definitely takes on that Monster of the Week style storytelling, but I know that they're trying to do something different with the series, with the actual anime, so we might actually see something majorly different with season 2.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Monster of the Week. I just want the fights and the animation to stay up to the quality.
Yeah.
Given that that's with studios. So cause I look at One Punch Man as like the top tier number one. If you want to do fight scenes, you got to do it their way, and that's the best way to do it. So
yeah, I like the fact he don't play no games at all. I ain't fit to toy around with you. You finna get this work. And when I saw that, like, some lead characters, they even like in Dragon Ball Z with Goku, you know what I'm saying?
They're notorious for that shit. They're like
the fight. He try to plead with you, and one punch, that's all it's gonna take from that man. I'm telling you.
When Boros came to Earth, he gave him his respect, but he beat his ass completely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is one of those things, is that Saitama is actually a whole joke about those superhero characters and overpowered characters, is that while he's strong and can definitely win anything in one punch, he's the opposite of like Goku. Goku wants to fight everyone at their strongest, and push himself. Well, Saitama's already at his limit, and he just wants an actual fight. But every time he thinks that he's gonna get something, it's too much, and he gets bored. Yeah.
And he has to dumb down his punches. That's why he got different series of punches. He got serious punches, all that. So,
he's got when he fought what was the name of the alien? I can't remember the name right now.
Boros?
Yeah, or Boros.
Punch.
Yeah, Boros on the ship, and he had to use the super serious series punch.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like everyone else, he uses the what he calls the consecutive normal punches, and he does like 8 or 9, 10 punches he calls normal.
I think actually they only did that against Boros. They regenerated. Everybody was like the normal punch.
Yeah.
Is that the punch that kind of?
He was beating Boros' ass with the normal punch, but he kept on regenerating, so he had to knock the core out of him.
Yeah. Is that punch that took the wind?
That's the one that split the entire atmosphere across the globe.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. I say, wow.
Like Boros was like, you were just playing with me the entire time, bro. When he was laying on the ground dying.
What type of training do you do to get that strong? Like
I do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 crunches every day, and run 10 kilometers.
Yeah, nah, it's just not, man. I'm still, and that's my curiosity is like, how do you get that strong? Like prior to watching the episode or watching that season, you look at your Goku, you look at your other anime lead characters, and you kind of debate like who's the strongest. But when you put that man in the conversation, oh man.
You gonna start something? You gonna start a war, man? Because they take that shit seriously. Who's stronger?
Yeah, I know.
You gotta remember, Saitama, he's on big ass parity. His level is at the max, pretty much. So as first comparison sake, it's gonna make it really difficult to put him against someone else.
Yeah, that's what people going like. They're gonna be like, he's a parody character like O'Reilly from Dragon Ball Z. Like O'Reilly can destroy Goku from Dragon Ball. She can even destroy Goku from Dragon Ball Super. She's just OP.
Which character is that?
Raleigh. She's like a little girl, and she was in one of the episodes of Dragon Ball Super. She's like a little robot girl, but she can.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Adelaide.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but isn't in the new coming season of One Punch Man is that he finds an enemy that or he fights an enemy that's just as strong as him?
There's rumors of it, but the biggest thing is that the rumor is that the robot AI that like is the security for the headquarters for the superheroes is actually evil, and other stuff, as well as I think it's Silverfang's student who left and was mad about Silverfang not wanting to teach him everything and wants to train specifically Saitama. He's supposed to come back as a villain. There's a whole lot of different rumors about what season 2 is going to have.
Okay.
You mean Battle Knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's 2019, right?
Yep, 2019.
Oh, that's going to be an awesome year. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Spring season next year is going to be a heavy hitting season. I can tell you that much.
Ooh,
and another big heavy hitting thing coming out here soon is for those who like Attack on Titan. Well, the studio that was behind that also was behind another really well done anime that came out a couple years back. Cabaneri the Iron Fortress. For those that don't know, basically Attack on Titan, but with zombies, trains, and in a steampunk world. Really phenomenal, well done animation. The first season ended on a very big cliffhanger and hasn't been picked up for a second season. Well, they announced that they were going to continue the story, but the sequel is going to actually take place within a movie. And they just recently released one of the newer trailers for that sequel for the movie coming out next year. And it just looks simply phenomenal. I absolutely love what they're doing with this. The biggest thing that I'm excited for is the fact that they are picking up immediately right after the end of the series and not like making any sort of time gap. They're not making any sort of big changes to the timeline or anything like that. They're picking up directly right after. So there isn't going to be any sort of disconnect in how it ties all together. It will be picking right up. So I found that to be the best thing that they can do for this series for a lot of people who were fans and want to see it continue on. I know, Post Up, you actually just watched the trailer right before the show. What are your thoughts on it?
Hey, I watched a couple of trailers of that show because it was my when you sent me the topics, it was my first time hearing of that anime, so I wanted to go check it out. I watched a few death scenes and things like that, and I'm like, oh man, this joint is brutal. So I'm definitely gonna look. Matter of fact, I'm going to watch the first season today. I'm actually looking for it right now, so I can be caught up to speed. But definitely, as you said, Attack on Titans, but on trains with zombies, brutal, dope fighting, dope animation. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
All right, that's awesome to hear, man. And a lot of people, once they see that, they're like, "Yo, this is dope. I gotta watch this right now." And I'm telling you, it's well worth the watch. If you like steampunk, if you like zombies and stuff like that, dude, it is amazing with the fighting, the animation, and the weapons that they use in there. It's simply dope. Op, what are your thoughts on the trailer? Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch the first season, but after you just described it, it sounds like I shouldn't watch it until the movie comes out, because I'm not gonna do that to myself and wait until that movie drops. We're gonna have to cliffhanger.
I mean, that sounds.
I thought trailer for actually was really good. I know what the fuck's going on, but it caught my interest.
Yeah, that's what I said. The fight. I get up to the story. I'll check in the story when I watch the first season, but them fighting scenes definitely caught my attention.
Definitely. I know it really does have some really awesome fighting scenes. And once you actually start seeing a lot more of it, it really is a dope series. Like, it is one I absolutely recommend. So, what are your thoughts on this, my man?
I think it's dope. I like the season 1, and I was just pissed that they ended the way they did. But since they're making a movie, I can't complain, honestly. So
yeah, a lot of series don't even get that sometimes.
Yeah. So I just hope the quality sticks together, and like they explain a lot of things So
Yeah, they definitely do have some things that they definitely need to explain on, but I'm just glad that they are continuing it because a lot of series don't even get that. Like No Game No Life got a movie, which was more of a prequel because it was later on in the series, but it explained a lot of how the world came to be. Yet that still doesn't have a continuation movie, still doesn't have a second season, still probably won't ever. And I'm sad about that because No Game No Life is good. Just saying, bring it back. But it's good to see that a series like this that was big when it came out, but kind of hasn't had much going on since, is getting that second look. So it is good to see that now. Now that we got all the little things out of the way, we're gonna go into our big topics, and these are the ones that are gonna be a little bit hot. And we're going to kind of start out with the small one first, but probably the one that got us the most heated last night when we found out the news. So, late last night, there was news that Netflix had made the announcement that they are canceling Luke Cage. This comes only a week after they made the announcement of canceling Iron Fist. And so me and you were actually on show last week talking about them canceling Iron Fist, what they could do to kind of keep the character around and stuff like that. And, we were talking about how, the success of season 2 for Luke Cage was really good. And now only a week later, we're seeing that Netflix is kind of pulling the plug on this. I know you were probably one of the biggest ones who were the most adamant about it. So why don't you go ahead and lead off with your thoughts on it first, man?
Well, what I was going to say, before we got we went live was basically, I think this has something to do with Disney trying to move some of their stuff over to their Disney Play streaming platform. So even though they might be canceled on Netflix, because Luke Cage season 2 wasn't bad at all, and one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite villains, Bushmaster, was on there. I got introduced to him, and he was a low level character, and they made him really good. But I just think that this has something to do with Disney streaming service, and I like, if this is right, if I'm true, they might get.
Hang on, double check yourself. You just cut out really badly for a second.
That's the weird people.
Hey, yo, so you're cutting up really bad right now for a second. Go ahead and talk now.
All right, I get a better connection.
All right. So let me know once you get that. Op, what are your thoughts on the cancellation, man? Yeah, you good? So, Op, you there?
Sorry, man. Someone just came up. Give me like 5 minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Post up. What are your thoughts on the cancellation, my man?
Man, this is crazy. I mean, the first season of Luke Cage really grasped me. I thought it was really brutal and darker than most Marvel shows we get. As far as Iron Fist, I didn't really like the first season of that due to I didn't really gel with the main character, and I thought the fighting scenes was really subpar. Now I'm just getting into the second season of Iron Fist and Luke Cage. And so far, so good with Luke Cage. Bushmaster seems to be like a crazy ill villain. I'm only a couple episodes in, so I can't really give my opinion on it as a whole because I haven't fully watched it. But them ending it being that it's such a popular and well-known show, it's crazy. I was surprised when I got the info yesterday. I'm like, come on now, this show is doing well. It's popular. Everybody's talking about it. So hopefully it picks up on Disney streaming service if that's the reason why it's being canceled. But as far as Iron Fist, I wasn't too fond of that due to some bad acting and bad fighting scenes from the first season that kind of, made me iffy about the second season.
Yeah, I can agree. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh yeah, but like to touch back on the Disney topic here, I think they're going. Like we were saying, like a couple weeks ago, they might do Hero for Hire, and what is it, Daughters of what?
Daughters of the Dragon.
Daughters of the Dragon, and I think that the council and those shows they could not make that spinoff on their their streaming platform unless they got out of contract with Netflix with those characters. So I think we're going to get a spin-off series with Disney, with Heroes of the Heroes of Fire and Daughters of the Dragon. But like we're not going to get their own like shows anymore. So.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's Disney. I mean, if you look at it, Netflix was like the test bed for all these other streaming services that's now popping up. And you can remember at one point Netflix was going into bankruptcy, but now that streaming is so popular nowadays, everybody want to prioritize their own platform over others. Because at one point Netflix was really the number one. Now and then from there you got Hulu. Now CBS got their own streaming platform where you can only see certain shows if you access their streaming, and so. It's a lot of money in streaming, and the industry as a whole, from movies to music to gaming, everybody is going towards this streaming thing. So, I mean, at this point, if your foot is not in that pool, it should be, or you're behind. And so I can understand Disney saying, "Hey, let's get a hold of this," because, I mean, people putting the cable box down, like. I no longer have to pay $300-$400 for a cable bill in order to get access to my shows when I can pay just $7 or $15 a month to get access to all the contents I want. And so, from a Disney perspective, I can understand that's leaving money. That's leaving money on the table. And I'm pretty sure DC, the DC universe, DC, I'm pretty sure they might do the same thing, right?
They already got one. They already got one. They got one like Titans, Young Justice, and stuff like that. But
yeah.
We're gonna find out if this is really a Disney play, because people are even like predicting that they might cancel Daredevil and every other show now.
Wow.
So, because that's a lot of like money that goes towards Netflix.
Yeah.
So.
That's definitely money left. That's definitely money left on the table, man. And the only gripe is I have with this, as you get all these companies and studios making their own platform, I'm looking for that one person that's going to come in and say, look, you can have access to all these different services under this one platform, because paying out of pocket for Crunchyroll, Funimation, and this and that. All that stuff add up to a cable bill. So if they can get it under one platform where you can have access to a lot of different streaming services on the one platform, but that'd be dope. But I understand why Disney making a move. They see all that money Netflix making, and like, you know what, we can do this ourselves because we got the money and the resource to do it.
Disney owns so much of entertainment-wise. It's just it doesn't make sense for them not to do it. So.
Yep.
It really does. And I think that's kind of why we're seeing the moves that they're making now with them making these cancels, especially so quickly. I think after the seasons that are already out or coming out, that we're going to see each of these series get canceled. Granted, Disney's going to have all these people under contract and pull them back and to continue and get all the licensing from Netflix or any from the past seasons, because they technically license out to them, so they can get the ability to, but to basically put everything on their platform. You know, they're gonna put everything centralized. The only issue with it is that the thing with these series was with Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, The Punisher, all of these, what they had in common is that they had the free reign to be dark, and they had to go into more realistic, very messed up stories that you wouldn't typically attribute to Disney. So if Disney does pull these under their license for their streaming service, they're gonna have to be not afraid of saying, hey, we're not just gonna put all your favorite children's shows on here. No, everything we had over there, you can watch over here as well. That's going to be the biggest thing. If they are pulling these for their licensing issues because they do want to get into streaming, because we do know that they have been setting up, especially after their acquisition of more into Hulu itself, as well as Sky Network or Sky Entertainment in the UK, they are getting their streaming services set up. They're trying to get the foundation for that infrastructure. The issue is, if they go through with this, are they going to pull back on putting out these R-rated series on their platform, or are they going to go through with it and not hold itself back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because, from growing up, Disney has always been this teen-rated, children type of platform. So would they go as R-rated and as dark as Netflix did with their licenses on their own platform? That's a good question. Wow.
They do. I really hope they don't change everything to PG. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be fine with the shows, but like when it comes to movies, they never going to make an R-rated movie. It's that simple.
And that's kind of where they told the line. It's like, well, if you're doing it in TV shows, why don't you do it in your movies? That's where it's going to come down to. And it's just like, hey, you're doing it on your own streaming service. You don't have to follow as much before anywhere else. It's like, why don't you just do it there?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's going to be very, very hard to see what they're going to do with it, because it can go one way or the other. It really can, with the way that they're doing.
If they want to cater to everyone, they're going to have to keep them rated R shows. I mean,
especially with what's been established,
Yeah, they're going to have to keep. Because when I saw the first season of Daredevil on Netflix, like the fighting scenes and how, man, he was just beat. People just getting their ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things. But outside of the story, that's one of the things that drew me in, because I have a tendency to kind of question some of the shows that come out, because a lot of times you do get a lot of B-rated shows that doesn't have that much production value into it. But what Netflix did with Luke Cage and what they did with the Daredevil, they put a lot of production value into it, and so it came out great. And I just hope Disney can keep that or even supersede that, because those are some awesome shows.
Exactly, man. Like, they really do need to kind of pull away from that. Hey, if we're gonna make this only for one group of people, if we want to make the most money, we got to appeal to everyone. We have to not hold it back. And that's the biggest fear with this, is that they're going to hold themselves back, and it's going to ruin the potential of these series,
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot going for them, because we've seen how big they have done. Punisher, especially with Punisher, didn't hold back. And it told a really great story about a troubled ex-soldier, turned, vengeful, militiaman. We've seen Jessica Jones season 1 talked about a drunken alcoholic, PTSD sexual assault survivor. That's something that you can't tell in a PG series. There's a lot going on that they can't do if they hold themselves back.
I totally agree.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that they really have to either commit to or don't. And that's going to be what makes or breaks these continued series, if they do it for their own series.
Yeah, we'll see probably in the next coming year. They're most likely going to officially announce their streaming service coming soon. So.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be something big that's going to happen one way or the other. And there has to be some sort of break.
Yeah, but if they cancel like Jessica Jones and Daredevil, we know that it's really a Disney making their move.
Yep. And I guarantee you, with season 3 of Daredevil having just launched yesterday, that they won't announce it right now, right after it, but give it a few weeks. And then if they do announce that Daredevil is canceled, then we know that Jessica Jones will more than likely be canceled after her season 3 goes up, because they already have the order for that and they are already in production for it. So they're going to finish out the series orders that they have. And I believe there's already a second season, I think, of Punisher that was ordered a while back. But once everything gets finished, I guarantee they're going to announce that they get canceled.
Yep, because everything, they try to get everything out of contract so they can move it over.
Yep.
So that's more than likely what we're going to see as the continuation from now on. That is absolutely what's going to happen. And it sucks that it's going to go that way, but that's going to be how it works, because that's the way that Disney's kind of playing it right now. They're trying to clear out all their previous obligations to get this all going.
Yep, no, I agree. It sucks because we're gonna have to spend more money with streaming services, but I guess.
Yeah, and unfortunately, streaming services are becoming the new cable. Everyone wants to do their own, so now you're having to a la carte that shit and build what you want to watch.
Yep.
And that's one of those things that's great and annoying, because you choose what you want, but at the same time you're still spending a lot of money on choosing what you want.
Yeah, because they always every streaming platform always has exclusive shows. So.
Are we still on Netflix thing?
Yeah.
We're still on that?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, all right, bet.
You got something you want to say on it up?
Yeah, fuck Netflix. Continue the conversation.
Oh shit! He said 2 things.
Yeah. This, I guess it makes sense. Disney trying to get stuff on their streaming service, but I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Disney said they wanted no R-rated content on their service, right?
And that's exactly what we were just talking about.
Oh hell no! They're gonna dumb this shit down and turn it to a cartoon, man. This is probably gonna happen.
Did they really say that?
I think they said that a while back.
What?
Yeah, I believe they said they want no R-rated content on their service.
That is completely stupid. And I really hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true.
Yeah, for some things, they get rid of like family-friendly bullshit they got going on sometimes, because they gotta understand their audience goes beyond children, especially the streaming service and the character. They own Marvel. That shit is really not for kids in most cases. Like they need to drop that mentality.
All the acquisitions that they just did, they have a lot of rated R films and stuff on there that they own now.
Right.
That's really weird, and I hope that's really not true. Because if that's true, that means that everything else, like everything that they do from here on out, will be dumbed down.
Yep, and that's the fear. That is the fear.
Wow.
So we're gonna kind of have to see how this all plays out. And like I said, right now with the moves that Disney's making, how it's unfortunately affecting Netflix and everyone else, it's gonna be one of those things that we're not gonna to really see how it all plays out together.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep, we're gonna have to see. So with Netflix out of the way, we're gonna move on to our second hot topic. And this is for the anime fans here.
The article, it says they reportedly will not have R-rated content on their service from IGN and a couple other sources as well.
Disney?
Yep.
Wow.
What?
Wow, that is fucking stupid.
It really is. Them choosing not to put R-rated content, but pulling these shows from Netflix and a business deal, that's gonna hurt them.
That's gonna hurt big.
They're gonna make another service called Disney After Hours or some shit, because you can't dumb down everything for kids.
Man, I'm not trying to look at another High School Musical, man.
I mean, they might as well just turn the Defenders into the Defenders musical, and as they're punching, they're just sticking everyone in the.
Exactly.
We're about to get Marvel films, Marvel shows with no blood.
Right.
Wow.
You fucking spit saliva everywhere instead of blood. It's some bull.
That's crazy.
It's something. I'll tell you that, man. It's a something.
Well, if that's the case, I don't think them shows are even going to come over there.
Yeah,
and if they do, they won't come over in the form that they're in now.
Yep, that's definitely
they all be teenagers in high school, man. That's what shit's gonna be.
Yeah,
Like a
man, I
Luke
ain't
Cage will be
watching.
a high schooler.
Yeah, I ain't watching that, man. I'm good.
Yep. So hey, Disney, y'all doing this? Y'all hurting yourselves. Just saying. The Teen Marvel shows. Well, Cloak and Dagger is also on Freeform, but they're partnered with Hulu, and that one's still saying. And The Runaways is on Fox, and they premiered theirs on Hulu as well. So those ones I believe are all right. Kind of just like how Marvel Agents of Shield has been with ABC, because ABC is owned by Disney. It's one of their multimedia entertainment places, just like I believe Freeform is as well.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger was dope. I'm really looking forward to the next season of that. And The Runaways. Is a new season out on that yet?
Yeah, the Runaways is announced for a new season. They haven't
Okay.
announced when it'll come out though, but yeah.
Runaways was, I watched a lot of episodes, but it was like the episodes were so long, bro. They were so long.
Yeah, they were long. I won't deny that fact.
And I watched a couple of episodes of like Cloak and Dagger. I need to get back on that one.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger was dope.
Yeah, it really was, man. I really like the way that they told the story of Cloak and Dagger, but you know, those TV shows were actually really good. The Gifted, The Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, those ones just didn't get enough attention.
Oh yeah, they renewed The Gifted too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I'm watching the second season of that right now. I think it's like 4 or 5 episodes in already.
Yeah. But all right. I definitely think we all got how we feel about Disney making these moves against Netflix right now. So the next part of our controversy for today comes from an email and an announcement made officially by Crunchyroll and VRV yesterday.
Oh.
So for all of our anime fans who like to do it the legal way and get your services, Crunchyroll made an announcement that Funimation has decided to separate from their streaming service platform, which is called VRV, which is a streaming platform that Crunchyroll made to associate with several other streaming groups, including Crunchyroll, Funimation, Rooster Teeth, Nerdist, Mondo Entertainment, as well as several other smaller services, to kind of put them in one central area to kind of give you a way to be able to view all that content. Well, Funimation has decided to do their own thing, take their dubs and everything, and continue on their own and separate. Now, we've all kind of made it our feeling right now on how we feel about Crunchyroll and Funimation. And this news is good and bad for those who do really enjoy this. Now, I'll say this. I've had VRV for months now just because I've had plenty of gift cards for VRV service, and it was the one way I was using it to be able to watch stuff at work because I can do that. And it's great to have just because of the fact that I could choose whether I wanted to do the sub or dub from Crunchyroll or Funimation, either way. But at the same time, it's the issue of the platform itself. While it is useful, it's still not optimized, well utilized. Their search engine sucks. They don't have a great separation, a well maintained watch list or anything like that. It has so many issues, as well as their apps, from the Xbox app to the mobile app. It's not well optimized for the platforms that they are utilizing, and that hurts them significantly. But Funimation choosing to walk away from Crunchyroll is going to do more harm to Funimation than it will Crunchyroll. Because while Funimation is the biggest and the sole company in the West who does English dubs for a lot of big animes that come from Japan, they don't pull enough traffic by themselves to really sustain having their own service. Them having partnered with VRV was not a bad thing. But I do understand why Funimation is trying to do that. With the already low year-over-year Blu-ray DVD sales, they're not making money off that. Their biggest money is merchandise. But even then, while Funimation has a big presence all over here at anime conventions all throughout the States and in Europe, they're still not making as much money out of their merchandise outside of their sole streaming service. So them wanting to pull away is understandable, but they don't have the pool nor the presence to really sustain it, because I did a video about a month ago talking about piracy within the anime industry and how those services and those websites get more traffic than both of these two combined. And the reason that is because Funimation is doing the same series that is on Crunchyroll, just the English dubs, and the English dubs are only going to be for the very big names. While they have some older series, they're not always on there. And that hurts them when every streaming service has the same exact shows. They don't have anything that is uniquely them. While yes, there's going to be the diehard fans that like certain English dubs only and will go to Funimation, it is not going to be consistent. You have the Dragon Ball fans, you have some of the One Piece fans, you have some of the Naruto fans, and then of course you have like My Hero fans. The really big series will pull things. All the other smaller shows that they do don't always have that appeal. Some people would rather watch the newer shows that are on streaming in Japanese and sub. The dub is always going to be one of those things where it's hit or miss with certain shows. And Funimation choosing to walk away after 2 years is only going to hurt them in their long run. If they can pull it out and be able to increase their presence, increase their streaming service, and increase and better rectify a lot of the issues that they have with it right now, it may do better. It may help. But the other issue with Funimation is the fact that they have so many shows that are available in the States, but not in Europe, or stuff that are in Europe and not here, or all over. And that hurts when you're seeing shows that you can't watch because they are region locked. That is another big issue with them doing their own thing, because it has happened for a while. I want to get y'all's thoughts on this, because of the fact that we've all stated how we feel about it heavily when it comes to streaming services, but we are willing to give some a chance. Right now, with Funimation choosing to walk away, how do you think this is going to hurt them, and how do you think Crunchyroll is going to handle it? I want to start with our guest, because I know he has some thoughts on this. So, Post Up, why don't you start it off, man?
This was a blow to me. I was really happy when they first announced that they was gonna their partnership, and then you start seeing a lot of content from Funimation funnel over to Crunchyroll, and vice versa. I think this comes from a financial gain. I don't think if you look at how quick, I think this has been going on for like a year, correct? Well,
they've been partnered together for 2 years.
2 years.
But this kind of back and forth on whether Funimation was going to do its own thing has been kind of talked about for about the past year.
Yeah, I think the financial gains is not there. To me personally, when things like this happen, it all comes down to money to me. And then in terms of Crunchyroll too, as a platform, every time a Dragon Ball Z Super episode dropped, you couldn't get access to it.
Exactly.
I'm talking about for hours. Like, if you didn't
just the overload of the server. It's just so many people
that's the issues that they had with their simulcast, is that they know certain series that they are simulcasting are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Why do they not have the kind of support for these, that they're down for nearly hours to a day, that people would rather go to an illegal streaming site 30 minutes after the episode appears to watch it there, because they can't watch it through their main sites?
Yeah, I don't think it affected their bottom line enough for them to maintain the partnership. If we partnership for 2 years and I don't see no significant gains in terms of membership and in terms of finances, then what am I doing? Why am I still? What's the benefits of me still having this partnership? And I think in this case, that's what it comes down to: membership, financial gains. I don't think it was the needle was moved enough for them to maintain this partnership. And I guess it's like, well, I can do bad by myself kind of thing, or they felt as though they can be better or do better on their own if things was exclusive to their platform versus sharing it with a Crunchyroll or a VRV.
Definitely. So, what are your thoughts on this, man?
The funny thing about it, a lot of people don't know that Sony like recently acquired Crunchyroll. And,
Yes.
And
Funimation. They acquired
Funimation. They acquired Funimation. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
You know the funny thing, you know what the funny thing about it? You know who owns Crunchyroll?
Who?
AT&T.
What?
So,
Yeah. Actually, we talked about that a couple months ago on an episode.
Yo, I did not know that.
So
Hold on, they own it. It's been that shit for how long? Oh my goodness.
They're direct competitors. So most likely Sony. That's why it ended so abruptly, and that's why it ended next month. They seen that. All right, we could probably do better on our we're giving them a lot of more stuff than what they're giving us.
But yeah.
So they like we're just gonna end it. It's no point. But the thing is, Funimation, their biggest show, Dragon Ball Super, is on hiatus right now. So, and like One Piece, and a lot of course some people watch dub One Piece and dub My Hero, but My Hero just went on hiatus.
Went on their break until the spring season. Yeah.
Well, if I can just interject here just for what?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I just wanted to elaborate on you because I didn't know that AT&T owned Crunchyroll. If you're that big of a company, and you invest in backing in terms of servers and data centers and stuff across the globe, there's no way that, unless you really don't care too much about that platform, or if it has a big enough significance to you, that when an episode like Dragon Ball Super drops, that it should be any server issues. I'm just saying, but you can keep going.
I totally agree 100%. But just like in video games, like we expect that no server should be down like when the game first dropped, because they should know the amount of people that's going to be on there. So I definitely would blame AT&T and Crunchyroll for not having the servers, having more power to their servers or adding more servers. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely blame them, but I would say it's more on direct competitive, being direct competitors. And
there's no big competitors to make them change.
Yeah, and even though this is bad for regular consumers like us, and now we have to pay. We have no choice but to get double up on streaming services if you want to watch, My Hero or Dragon Ball Super when it comes back and stuff like that, because it's no longer gonna be on Crunchyroll. But then we're gonna have to double up on Crunchyroll because they're gonna have other shows that Funimation's not gonna have. So.
Yep, and especially if you want to see a lot more in the Japanese sub, there's gonna be a lot more that aren't big enough for them to do a dub in Funimation. So if you like your English dubs, you're definitely going to have to go that way. But if you want to see more stuff that you may not see over there, especially in the original sub, you are going to have to go with Crunchyroll and the VRV service. However, there was two things that did come out of this announcement that I also want to bring up as well. Is that those who already did have a VRV subscription as of right now, that they are giving a lot of people $20 to $30 worth of free credit to their current ongoing subscription, because as of November 2nd, they will be ending all the content from Funimation. So you still have till the 2nd to use everything, but you are getting 2 to 3 months free of the service as a consolation with that, as well as the fact that they did announce that they are getting a new partner though. So to replace Funimation, they did start a partnership with High Dive streaming services, which is a company that I am actually very well familiar with. As in September, I went to a anime convention here in San Antonio, and they were actually the sponsors for the convention. And I actually spoke well with their community manager as well as their social media manager and all that. And them making this with what they already have in their library, they were a great supplemental service. They were only doing $5 a month or 40 for a year. Having a service like that alongside what I was going to recommend with Verve is actually a good thing because they do have a lot of older series as well as more uncensored English dubs, uncensored Japanese subs for ecchi content and other things like that. They did have a good variety of things. So them partnering is a good thing for High Dive because it helps to bring more attraction to them, as well as it helps to add a lot more that Crunchyroll does not have right now. The biggest thing right now is High Dive does have a well-built system already for themselves. And now if they could translate that over to helping Crunchyroll either improve or anything is going to be the big showcase. So that's the hardest thing right now for a small group like High Dive. While getting this partnership, how it's going to affect the bottom line for them, as well as how it'll help improve the big line for everyone, you know?
Yeah, I agree. But what I was about to say, I don't know. This is good and bad. So I don't know. Funimation I would say honestly, Funimation should have waited closer to when like Super was going to come back. They should have just waited a little bit longer to actually like just completely end it, because there's only one show that people are probably going to watch, and that's One Piece, because everything else is ending. So.
Yeah. It's gonna be it's one of those things, man. A lot of people aren't going to be watching a lot of what they have on right now because of that aspect.
Now you see, like, everybody has to buy the double up on subscription. Pirating sites are about to go crazy right now. They're about to just eat all this up because they like, you can just come to our site for free.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, man. It is really going to be something else with the need of doubling up on services. But like I said, there are some that are being done and partnered right. Let's just hope to see some improvement out of it. Like, I do like High Dive and their streaming service and the potential they have. So I just really hope that with them partnering, it helps out, because I'm actually working for all the fans. I am working on a video on my thoughts on High Dive themselves. And now with this announcement, I'm going to add my thoughts into that as well, and how this feels, because I really do like what High Dive has to offer. So it's going to be it's going to be a hard thing for all anime fans, because it is going to be another one of those cases of they feel like they're going to have to double up or make a choice. And for those who prefer dub, maybe Funimation is the way to go for you. If you prefer sub and a lot more smaller shows in a season, Crunchyroll's the way. If you like to watch both versions of a single show, you may have to double dip. That's going to be the hard part, is that I know a lot of people who have to double dip because, one, they want to watch the Japanese because it's ahead, but then go back and watch the sub or the dub because that's how they really want to watch it, especially when it comes to something like Dragon Ball.
Yep.
Yo, real quick, CWC, I know their site is free and they have ads running on it, but how lucrative is that for them? Because if that's working for them, maybe Funimation can go the same route to make it free for everybody, have like ads and stuff in between episodes and whatnot. Do you think that'll work for them?
It does work very well for CW, because they are able to put their episodes while they stream it live on TV. They're able to put the episodes up immediately after 12 midnight local time, and they do get a lot of watches through their apps, because their apps actually work on other devices such as Xbox, Android, iOS, as well as their website on PC as well.
Okay.
If these apps are on PlayStation, by the way, someone please say so. I don't know. That's the only reason I'm not saying it's on PlayStation, just because of the fact that I legitimately don't know. So if anyone wants to clarify that.
It's technically free unless you want to get the latest episode, and they play ads on there, on their shows as well, I think. Don't they?
Right.
Which one?
Yeah. Crunchyroll. They're free unless you want to get the latest episode.
Yeah, I think they only keep I think you can't watch the last 3 most recent episodes, I believe. I don't know. And that's only specifically Crunchyroll's website, but if you use their Verve, you have to get a subscription.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know Sony owns Funimation now. I hope they're gonna make a streaming service of their own in the future, but then again, I really don't expect much from their infrastructure at this point, because they can't get PSN right at this point. So I'm trying to make this anime streaming website. based off of that, I really have no hopes for that shit at all at this point. So I guess we gotta see how it happens. Like what happens in the future. How's it gonna work out for them?
Yep, it's gonna be something on how Funimation is gonna make this work. And you know, Crunchyroll has their self set. They know what they're doing. They just need to, if they can just improve their apps right now, as
Right.
well as help to improve their search engine and their servers, Crunchyroll would actually be a worthwhile service to have. I will admit that. Like, I give them a lot of shit, but it's because of the fact that I use it. I hate how constantly it's freezing, the server's going down, and I can't access episodes, and how much the unoptimized the apps are for other devices outside of PC.
Yeah, you would think for what you pay per month that it'd be better than what they just upgraded their movie player because the old movie player was trash. It was horrible.
It was because it was built in. I believe it was a JavaScript player that they were using previously, and they improved it and used a new codec to run a lot of the streaming, which is a good improvement. But they still have a lot to do. Crunchyroll, talk to us. Ask us what we want. I will do it. I will help. Just get shit straight.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, man, I think I've had Verve for the past 8 months for free worth of Loot Crate gift cards and other stuff that they keep sending me because I had it for a little bit. I use it. I don't mind it. It is useful. But when you're having to use it for the big reasons and it's fighting you and you can't do anything with it, that's when it becomes an issue. That's what I'm saying is that they have the ability to, they just need to execute it better.
Yeah.
All right. So for our last topic, this is probably one of the biggest stories out of the anime community specifically. So I'm going to preface this now as this one is going to be controversial for a lot of the content that was within it. So everyone who's listening now, I'm going to give a trigger warning because it's about to get really graphic in a very fucked up manner. And we're all going to kind of talk about this because it has been very polarizing for a lot of fans. So every
if you're
season,
sensitive type, now's your time to leave.
Yeah. If you have any sort of sensitivity to certain things,
violence in general, just leave.
Yeah.
This is going to be something that's a little bit more hardcore than what we typically talk about, but it is something that is need to be discussed. Yeah. So every season, there's always 1 or 2 series that stand out, whether for good or bad reasons. Whether, like at the beginning of the year, you had something like Devilman Crybaby that was controversial because of its content, but really good way because a lot of people really liked the way it was handled. Or, in this case, a not so good way. So, Goblin Slayer is the biggest talked about anime series of this season, and not for the right reasons. And that's because of how it started out. It started out with its first episode following a group of characters that were hunting goblins. And within the very first 5 minutes, these characters were brutally, and I mean very brutally, killed, dismembered, fucked up, and then for several party members, being of the female persuasion, raped. And I mean, animated goblin gangbang rape. And they may have used cutaways, but they still animated the scenes very well enough to give you enough implication of what was going on. Yeah. And it wasn't just at the beginning of the episode. They still had parts of it showing later on at the end of the very first episode. And it's been kind of controversial because you don't see that kind of stuff all too often in series. But the thing is, it's controversial for Goblin Slayer because Goblin Slayer starts out heavy in the very beginning, but the rest of the series is very tame. And a lot of people are mad because of the fact they feel like the anime is pressing boundaries just to press the boundaries. If you look at a series like Berserk, which came out, yes, back in the 90s, and well before that with the manga series, it had rape, it had murder, it had a lot of that. But it didn't shy away from that content because that was what the whole series entitled a lot of. It was very much the core aspect of it because there was a lot of that dark humanistic nature within the Berserk franchise. You don't see that later on in Goblin Slayer. It very takes a very mild approach heavily later on. So the issue that a lot of people are saying was, did they literally animate this episode and these scenes just for the shock factor? And are they just going to keep pressing the boundaries with each episode just to see what they can get away with? Because there are some series that have come out. Look at a series like Future Diary. Look at a series like School Days. Look at, a lot of those shows. They have dismemberment. They have gore. They do have, they do have rape in them at certain points. But it ties into the aspect of, that's the context of the show and it happens. This didn't have any of that because a lot of people know about Goblin Slayer ahead of time. And
I would say this. I think a lot of people don't know about Goblin Slayer, and I think a lot of people are just going on just one episode. And the thing is, perfect example. Do people know that there aren't female goblins? Do people not know that? So how do they reproduce?
Yeah.
They're people not.
Hang on, so you just cut out for a second. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now?
you're good.
I would say they only have one way of reproducing. If they don't reproduce that way, they go extinct.
Yeah.
You know that. And the only way, no regular human is going to willingly just let that person get taken by a goblin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they do what it's not pointless in the story. If you act I've read the entire manga, it's not pointless in the story if you understand what is going on and why goblins have to do it. It's fucked up. I 100%. It's fucked up. But if you're a race or a life form and your only way of surviving is to do this, then you're gonna do that.
That's why they snatched the ladies up. I see.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that is, if you know anything about fantasy creatures, is the actual mythos behind goblins, is that's why they kidnap only women, and they make a sense of that. At one point during the first episode, they said there's always a story of a group of adventurers going hunting goblins that are always pillaging villages and kidnapping women only. But it also comes into the fact of that right after the rape scene, and right after they find the victim.
Hey, Bloody, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're about to get off over here, so give me 15 minutes. I can come in and give my 2 cents about this.
All right. We'll get you last. But right. It isn't just that. And while it does have some context within the story, it is still a shock factor. But the biggest thing was right after the rape scene, and right after they found one of the adventurers, the character known as Goblin Slayer himself found a hidden hole that had goblin children.
Yeah.
And he talked about how the character asked him, what is he going to do? And he said, the only thing that I can do is kill the kids.
Yeah.
He said goblins hold grudges and forever. They learn. Yeah, they hold grudges forever and learn from the mistakes of the previous.
So he had the kid. One of the main things about this show is that got me. I was not ready. I will say it. I was not ready. The show started off. You got the girl, and you got the four group of people that she goes off on the first adventure with, And I'm like, okay, so this is a nice group. I think they're gonna build and grow throughout the show. And then that twist come when they get in a cave.
They said no.
Yeah, they were. It totally threw me for a loop.
It did.
The manga is like the manga does it worse. Like it does it worse. Like you actually see dismembers. Like you see people arm getting cut off. You see worse. But like I just like the way they did it is they like because like in any RPG, any like fantasy story, goblins and trolls are the ones that just get thrown out like as fodder. And they don't want that the noobs and the low levels go after just cause. Yeah. But like you saying that at the end of the episode where Goblin Slayer like you have to kill these kids because they're gonna remember. I'm not gonna spoil anything about you, but about like the future of the story, but they're like you're gonna see instances of like okay like there's goblins that actually learn from past mistakes of their ancestors or their parents. And become God tier.
What's so amazing about this show is that if you compare it to other shows, goblins are usually more so the weak, dumb and weak creatures that pretty much people you just flat through. Especially if you're dealing with an anime where they get trapped in a game and stuff like that. These usually characters are used to
trash mobs.
Trash mobs to quickly level up and stuff like that. But in this is such a strong emphasis on them because you got a character that only hunts goblin, even though it's other mythical beasts in the world, dragons and all of that.
But the thing is, like even like further in the story, you're gonna understand why goblins are such a problem and why every silver rank and every big tier people aren't worried about them. Because, like later on, probably like the third episode, you're gonna understand why like the goblins are just doing whatever they want, and like people are only the Goblin Slayer is the main focus on goblins.
Yeah, I understand. I think I just watched the second episode, and I got a little of his backstory, so I can understand why he's focused on that. But I can understand why. Another thing too, in addition to that, is the fact that they steal women. They can grow at a very rapid rate in terms of being born. So I can understand why he feels as though they're the ones they should be focused on, whether opposed to the other mythical beasts that might be in the show. They very deadly. If you forget about them and you allow them to keep stealing women and growing at a rapid rate, with them being able to learn from their mistakes, that's an army. That's going to be a problem. So that's
like the funny thing about it. A lot like this exact case. So Berserk did the exact same thing, but instead of goblins, they're trolls.
Yeah, but again, but remember again, like I said with Berserk, is that they don't ever tone down throughout the story. Goblin Slayer has a significant tone down later on. It's only heavy in the very beginning, but then it slows. Berserk never put the brakes on. It went 100 straight out the gate and held on.
The tone isn't different. The tone isn't different about Goblin Slayer. They just giving you more of the story. We just got a strong ass introduction of why everything is why Goblin Slayer and everything is the way it is in the world.
Strong ain't the word, man. When I say he's doing what to her? Because it was not just one, it was a lot of them. They was like really getting it in with her. Like
bang, rape. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't feel no sympathy for like the guy, but I also understand why they do what they do.
Yeah, that was. I just wasn't prepared for that. Like I said, you get these shows where you got the lead character that meets up with these other group of people. They go out on adventures and then they level up, they learn and stuff like that. But they was warned though. They was told, this is something you shouldn't be doing at the level that you are at. And they didn't listen. I just didn't know they was gonna get that brutally killed and raped going into that and that wasn't just rape. It was gang bang rape. Pretty much the whole Goblin squad, got down on Shorty. It was it was. I just wasn't ready for it.
And again, right after that, when he went into the burrow with the kids, they animated that scene. All right, he went full on Anakin Skywalker and straight Sith Lord them kids, and like you're watching him do it.
But what is wrong with that? Like,
no, I'm just saying that it's a shock factor. While it's a strong introduction, it's a heavy shock factor to just kind of do it straight out the gate.
I totally understand it, but like we seen Guts stab a kid through the door, like a regular human kid.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with anything, and he was just there just to check up on his dad. Like,
yeah. This is a different type of Goblin show.
Like we seen a horse almost try to like sexually assault a woman in Berserk. Like,
what?
Yeah, there is that, but I mean, again,
wait, hold on. A horse? A horse of a horse?
It was a demon horse. Like,
it was a demon horse. And I was about to say, to be fair, it was a demon horse. And again, we at that point when that happened, we come to expect that within Berserk. We know after everything on how Berserk started, it did not slow down with the content it did. It completely held that tone, so you knew to expect that when it happened. But again, what did Guts do? What did Guts do? He cleaved that horse.
But perfect example, nobody expected what happened in the eclipse to happen. This is close to the same surprise factor of what happened in the eclipse to Guts and the
Band of the Hawks. Yeah.
And what happened to this little noob squad in the cave? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that man.
Like the more episodes y'all get, the more you're gonna understand of why. Like, I don't know. I haven't watched the second episode because I had no point for me. I read the whole manga, so I'm not in no rush to do it. But like Goblin slaying in their world is very cheap. You don't get paid for doing it. You get one coin.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all he chooses to do. Which is crazy. But I'm saying, go ahead.
So like, nobody else is gonna like, I'm not gonna risk my life so we can go against hundreds of goblins for one coin. Like, so like.
Yeah, but it's crazy though, because you as we discussed this, and as you gave me some additional information on the anime, I kind of got a better understanding of it and why he chooses to do what he does. They are very dangerous. Like, even in by the time one of the females get kidnapped, it's already too late. He say it's too late. It's done. It's too late for them. And I'm like, what? You have these shows where the lead characters, they go on, they try to, get their people back.
Yeah, they'll do everything they can to save the person. Yeah. They're just like, I will go to hell and back. He's like, no,
it's too late. It's over. We finna. I'm like, what?
Hey, she was poisoned, man. They had to let her go. Like,
yeah. And then you got the female character, the lead character, and she got a more humanizing part of herself. And so she don't really understand what he's been through and his understanding of the goblins, especially when it came to the point where you know that when they go in the cave and they find that little secret room after they killed the leader, and you got the children there and they having that discussion about what they're going to do with them. Her human nature kicks in and say, hey, those are children goblins. But his side of the experience with it say, hey, I understand how they evolve and what they do. They're going to remember everything we just did here. We need to clean our tracks here. We finna kill these little things. And he just goes straight in and just kill the little goblin children, and she's amazed. But I think she's going to have to evolve over time to understand what he's been through and how the goblins work. And I think she's going to have to be battling between her human self and then the fact of being able to survive when going up against those goblins. So this is going to be a dope anime.
Yeah. And kind of like Sleepy just said in the chat, is that as far as Goblin Slayer is concerned, every goblin he sees is just vermin. They're rodents. He's just exterminating every single one because that's what you do with a pest.
Facts.
Exactly. They're termites.
Yeah.
If you don't get rid of them, they're going to destroy.
They keep multiplying. Yep.
They're going to destroy your entire home. They're going to just.
And he do not second guess himself. That's what I like. Ain't no second guessing. Ain't no I'm thinking about it. I'm killing them dead. That's it.
and that's how he does. He's just like, he's like, they need to die. I'm gonna kill them. And like I said, he walked in there straight and just Anakin Skywalked it, man, just straight up, murked all them little kids.
I didn't have no sympathy for them little kids. Don't be sure.
I was just in. Yeah, like I think like I said, they added a lot of shock factor because you heard these kids whimpering, crying because they're children, man. And as he started beating them, you just hear the girl crying, you hear them screaming, you see a pool of blood just filling up, and you see him just bashing skulls in, dude, like straight up.
Yeah, no remorse at all. Just kill anything green, basically. Kill anything green, and oh man! But I understand, like when that scene that because when I first saw the scene where they killed the first girl, but that second girl, the one that and it's like they chose her, even though she don't get me wrong, she had a banging body, and I understand why they chose her. She had a banging body. Because they chose to rape her, but killed the other girl, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And so,
they were going to do the first one as well, but when she kicked him, that's when they stabbed him.
Yeah,
they're gonna get both if they really wanted to, but
but that scene right there, like, oh man, like I was just expecting them to kill him and stab him up and do all that, but man, Joe, and then a smile and the on their faces and the evil smiles and how they was enjoying it, and when they get cut to the woman face and she's laying on the ground with this cold stare as if she was in awe as it was happening, that she couldn't even believe what was going on, that it was being done to her. It was crazy.
Yep. It's I'll say this. There haven't been a lot of shows that'll push the boundaries in a while. Mm-hmm. But it's like the ones that do come out, it does play into it. Yeah. For those who read Goblin Slayer, like me and Soul, like I said, it does slow down. But I just wonder if the animation and the anime itself is gonna keep trying to push it as long as it can for as long as it can. It's one of those shows. Like, we don't see shows like Berserk much anymore. Yeah, we have JoJo's, which is a joke in itself, but it is absolutely brutal and a lot of the fight scenes that happen in it. But we don't see anything on this level of context and kind of content since Berserk. Let's be honest. There's not been many that'll push the boundary like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll say the good thing about if Goblin Slayer is successful, this might be a good
return to form.
Yeah, return to form for Berserk. Like, okay, there's people that actually like dark, gritty type of stuff. So, and we might actually get a
continuation where it left off.
Yeah, a better shot, a better animation, a better team, in which where they don't have to like do shitty work, CG work, all this weird shit.
Yeah,
just throw it out. So,
because like we see these kinds of shows come out, but they exist within their genre. Look at Parasite, the Maxim. That was a very horror styled, fucked up show. It existed within that sci-fi aspect. We see it with Psychopaths, which is a psychological thriller, but still sci-fi existed within that aspect. We don't see too many in the fantasy aspect that, like Berserk and many things. When we see fantasy, we end up getting isekais like Overlord. We get SAO. We get things like Konosuba. Comedies, or if they're action, they don't go into full craziness. Even Overlord, while that's an isekai and a fantasy and has its moments, it never steps into this territory of, hey, He's like, he'll murder people with no issues. And we've seen some of the people that he murdered. Hell, at the end of the first season, spoiler alert here for anyone who hasn't seen the first season of Overlord, one of the characters that had tried to attack him, he straight grabbed that woman as she's trying to stab him in the eyes. But him, Ainz being undead, is just sitting there taking it while he's slowly breaking every one of her ribs before breaking her back.
Yeah.
We see that kind of stuff, but we don't see rape and child murder on any level.
Yeah, he told her, you killed old girl slowly, so I'm gonna do the same thing to you. And so he kind of watched as he just squashed her body and just broke her. But you don't really see rape and things like that. You see extreme killing in Overlord, like when the Butler dude punched all them dudes' heads off. Bow! Like,
those fantasy anime, they don't build on the fantasy world. They don't show you what's truly happening in their world. Like Goblin Slayer and Berserk, they show you that the fantasy world, we got elves and talking trees and all this nonsense, but it's not all golden. It's not all flowers and shit. Like it's very scary. It's very scary.
I mean, they had that in Overlord because they have a bunch of other races, but you know, there are some characters that are good. Like everyone talks bad about trolls in Overlord, but you know, you also have giants and goblins and stuff like that. And there's a hatred of goblins, but there's a village that are half humans, half goblins and stuff like that. Like they do go into some of that aspect, but at the same time, you know, we don't see the full extent of it. Like I said, this is something
you see half human, half goblin. That's because there's no goddamn female goblins.
Yep. And even in Overlord, all the goblins that are in that village are all dudes. There is not a single female goblin.
Well, that reminds me of the show I just started watching, the time I got reincarnated as slime.
Oh yeah, the female goblins.
Yeah, but in this the recent episode I just watched, the goblins didn't have names, and so when the slime dude, which is a dope show, when he gave them their names, they evolved. The old dude went from this little crimpy little old dude to this big strong goblin, just because in that particular world, once they give names and things like that, it helps them level up and stuff like that. So it's crazy, man.
It's something, man. Like I said, we just don't see anything on this level of shock factor or willing to push the boundaries in a long time. Like I said, the ones that do typically exist within horror. I think the last real like rape scene I'll say that I saw was in a really shitty anime, by the way, which was called King's Game. It was awful. The pacing was all over the place. It was just shit. And there was only one scene I could particularly play, is that in the King's Game, it's kind of like, you know, Simon Says, but it's like you have to do what the king says, and if you don't, you get punished. But in this one, it's like if you don't do it, you'll die. And one of them is that the main character and his girlfriend, his girlfriend had to have sex with his best friend, and his best friend didn't want to do it. So he ended up knocking out his best friend, and while his best friend was unconscious, his girlfriend had sex with his best friend while he was waiting in the other room to make sure that they both didn't die.
What?
Yeah.
What is this?
That's the most recent rape scene I can think of, but it was that entire show was literally just trying to be edgy just to be edgy. It wasn't good at all.
Good. All right. Oh,
like I said, horrible story, horrible pacing all the way around. It wasn't good at all. But that was the only show that I can recall that they tried to do something like this. But typically when we see anything messed up, it's within horror. Like the horror genre is the ones that'll do it. You know, a lot of gore, a lot of horror. Look at Terraformers, you know, stuff like that. Those ones are able to do that because of the fact that they exist within that and they push those boundaries because that's where you're expecting it from the get-go. Goblin Slayer, a lot of people had a different thought of what was going on. And this one just tried to go hard right out.
It tricked a lot of people because you looked at the characters like, oh, it looks so nice. It looked like Sword Art Online. So you're like, yeah, it looked nice. And then when you get to the cave, everything changes.
And here's the worst thing about it though, right? Is that this show is labeled as PG.
Yeah,
no.
PG.
No. If you said PG-14 or M17, people would have known better. But it's labeled as PG. What the actual fuck?
That's crazy.
Man, you can pull. They test the true limits of PG by cutting away and just showing and just giving you the imagination of what's going on.
Well, here's the thing: is they had the breasts covered. The only thing that you saw was enough of her ass and enough bare skin for it to just barely not be PG-13. But the breasts were covered because the nipples were covered by clothing. When they ripped off the clothing, they were put in different positions, or there were hands covering them. But they just barely edged it and used cutaways. But they put enough there to know what the fuck was going on. That's why this is a major issue.
They still had her booty tooted up with the little goblin standing behind her. So
well, not just that, but remember when he had her use the holy light flash and he ran in that big room? Yeah. You actually still see a goblin with her on her side behind her before he starts killing everyone and they run away. And then when you see her from the front, it's all shaded out with darkness. Like they use just enough censorship, but it's still, if it was PG-14, you would have understood. Or if they went M17, no, it's rated PG. So they pushed what they could do, and that's where the big controversy lies at.
Yeah.
Op, you back yet?
I was not ready.
I don't think anyone was ready. That's why. It's like when you look at
episode 3 is out now.
I'm here. I'm just walking home right now.
Yeah.
You're still on Goblin Slayer, right?
Yeah, we're still on Goblin Slayer for you.
Okay, you like just 30 seconds. I'll be home.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's a lot on what they did with this and why it is such a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because even when you look at the tags, it doesn't say anything. Like if you look at a show like How to Summon a Demon Lord and High School DxD and other things like that, it tells you that it's still ecchi. It still has that kind of adult content, and it has that rating that you would match that. It didn't have that on Goblin Slayer. That's why it felt like the first episode was a shock factor to be a shock factor.
But that is not a shock factor. So, do you know what happened in the first chapter of Goblin Slayer? Right? That's the exact same thing that happened in the first episode of Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, but if you look at Goblin Slayer's rating as a manga, it matches what you would expect out of it. Though it did not have it,
and that's why
it
pushes the limit.
On the episode.
They're using imagination to push everything that's in there. Everything was cut off. Everything you like everything that you see in a traditional PG is what you see. Everything else is just imagination they cut off.
Yo, if you look at when you play this thing on Crunchyroll, it tells you this show contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised, and that's the first time I've seen that in a while.
Is that on the website? Because if you watch it,
that's the problem. Then you should have known going.
No, that's the thing. Is what I'm saying is that it's not. I watched it on my Xbox and on the Android device. It did not give that warning once you started it.
Wow, on the website it do on the website it do.
Makes sense because they do a lot more ads through their own website. So them doing it there is understandable. But a lot of people aren't always on their computer to watch things, so that's a big issue.
I watched it on my computer. I watched it on my phone, and it said this message. People are making a big deal of the scene. They're not making this the big thing about the rating. They're just complaining about the scene. They have no context of the entire anime. They don't care about the rating. They definitely don't care about the rating.
I think when you see that show contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing, you think about brutal killing. You didn't expect
and you see that on series like you see that
rape like that.
Exactly, because you see that on a series like Overlord, which is rated mature and goes a little bit more extreme with a lot of the language as well as the content in it, as well as others. This one did not have that warning on a lot of other spots that use the app, as well as have the rating that goes with it to give enough context of what was going to be included. That's what can cause a lot of it, especially with the fact that it happened within the first 5 fucking minutes.
Like if you're gonna get into this anime,
you need to be prepared ahead of time. Like you need to know what you're getting into.
Not really. Nobody knew what was going to happen in Berserk, the Eclipse version. Like when the Eclipse happened, nobody knew that was going to happen. That was a surprising factor. You can't get mad at if you get surprised.
But again, when the Eclipse happened, it's well into the series. You knew what was already within the context of the show. When you don't know the show at all, and that happens when the first 5 minutes, you're going to cause a few people to freak the fuck out.
People are getting mad at the scene. People are not getting mad at the rating. If you're getting mad at the scene without knowing the context of the anime or the manga, that is on you.
I'll just say that's what's causing the controversy, man. I'm just saying.
Okay, so real quick, is it the scene? So it's the scene causing controversy, correct?
It's the first episode in general. It's the first episode in general.
Okay.
So since you finally are able to join in on the conversation, give us your thoughts, man.
Well, first, for the record, I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody here when we say we don't condone any type of sexual assault at all, in any regard or any form. So, as far as the Goblin Slayer, people who are not familiar with this lore of this world, I guess the creatures in this mythical world, the goblins, they are depicted in many different fashions. But the main thing about them is, like, as far as I can tell, females are like a close rarity amongst that species. You only see in like very small regards. But with the Goblin Slayer, they do this for survival, and pretty much because like you have to understand like this. The anime said the same tone for it was like it's very dark, it's very gritty. It's like fuck that shit will happen, and the goblins are like probably one of the most fucked up creatures out there. Not by what they, but based on what they do to survive. Like you said earlier, Soul, because this is the only way for them to reproduce. So this is what they're doing. So like, I don't. This outrage is just completely stupid to me. It's just ridiculous because you have to understand when you get into watching the anime as well. Because like you said, the one you mentioned earlier that this sets a tone for the rest of the anime, correct? Or does it get dark from here on, or like is it stay on this level, or what's going on for the anime? Because so you read the manga of it.
It like that first episode, you know what's going on. You know what's going on, so you're not going to be like throughout the entire series of the anime or the manga, because you already know what it's hitting for. You already know that this is what goblins do and why they do it and such.
Right. Yeah, honestly, these people are expecting everybody can't be ice cream gumbo drops or shit. Like they're trying to capture like the realistic aspect of this world, and they showed this first episode. It is not forgiving. It is dark. It is brutal. It will kill you and do much worse to you in this world. So all of it is really set to tell people can handle it. Y'all can just get the fuck on somewhere else if you can't have an anime like this. That's dark.
The only thing I can agree with Knuckles is the rating. The rating definitely needs to change.
It's bullshit. The rating is completely bullshit, bro. Because like if you rate this shit PG and a kid comes in and watch it, they don't put us gonna be scarred for life for the shit they seen. Because their thing is for kids because it's PG.
The kid gonna be traumatized.
I mean, that's why the subconscious kick in. I mean,
right.
even though if it's a child, that subconscious is pretty much breaking down what he's seeing, even if you don't understand it. It's breaking down what he's seeing.
Like,
so they definitely need to change the rating.
Kids won't even know what's happening. They probably just thinking she get beat up low key. Like.
Right. So whoever thought she was supposed to be PG, he get shit slapped out of them because that's a big ass L.
Yeah,
that's
a complete misread of it.
Every single person. The thing is that they wanted the controversy and they wanted every single person to talk about this show. So
I mean that could be a double-edged sword because that could hurt the viewings afterwards.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good. I think nobody would have watched it regardless if they didn't do this.
That's true. So I guess because like there's nothing like sexual. We all know it's horrible. but that means you can't exclude it from the aspect of storytelling because their stories actually tell it and actually fits into it as well. It's not forced into there. They use it in this to set the tone for it, which is not wrong.
Like you gotta understand their world. Goblins are the same thing as trolls and berserk. Trolls don't have like females in their world, so they have to kidnap women. And I remember they had a whole freaking like couple chapters of women getting raped by trolls and berserk. Like,
yeah, I remember that. I was reading that shit too, bro. It's wild.
I was in that bitch like had a bad taste in my stomach. Like I was like a bad taste in my mouth. Like this shit is nasty. Like
right.
Like it's something you gotta get introduced to the world. So you're like, all right, this is why he does such and such, and why these goblins do what they have to do to survive. Because without it, they're going extinct. They don't want to die out.
You could look at that aspect of like in the Aliens universe with the Xenomorphs. I forgot what they're called. Xenomorphs, yes. It's almost in the same realm as that. Like they have to reproduce by injecting their seed into, not necessarily rape, but they're pretty much injecting their seed into other life forms, consume their mass, then burst out of them.
I think the first episode is a surprising factor, but like a lot of thriller horror anime do that just to get you in. I remember the first episode of Attack on Titan. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, bro.
People just dying off, like the mama died, all that. I was like, oh my god, everything is going crazy in this first episode.
Exactly, you have to set the tone for it, especially trying to be not necessarily for the sake of being different, but like to really show people like in your world, your story you're trying to tell, shit gets dark and very unforgiving.
Like, cause for us, if we would have just seen like goblins killing these kids or whatever and all that, we would have seen a Goblin Slayer, and then we'd have seen the little kids. Like, why he killing the little kids? Those the bad goblins. Don't kill the little kids. We'd have felt just like that little girl. But we understand why he killed them little ass goblins, because them goblins gonna go up and do the same thing that they did to that girl when they get older. So like we understand, like he not letting none of that shit slide. So.
Exactly. It's essentially ancient warfare, right? You come to territory, you take over the sons and all of them. Either you subjugate them into your race, to your servants or slaves, or you kill them off. Because if you leave them alone, they're gonna come back for your ass eventually later on in the future.
And they're gonna remember everything that you did. So they're gonna try to make sure it go as smoothly as possible.
Right.
Like there's scenes later on in the manga where you're going to see like this is why like there's like a scene in the manga where they're going to tell you like there's going to be a one goblin that really learned from his past experience. He does shit so completely different because he learned from his past experience of people that died in front of him. And
right.
He kept on learning. He's got it. So.
And that's why he's one of the reasons why he feels as though he has to kill them all. Not only that, if you in the second episode they give you the backstory on what he witnessed to what happened to his own family and his
exactly.
That was traumatizing. Like
you know about it, so like he was just high and he saw what happened to his sister. And stuff like that. Yeah.
He watched his sister go through the same thing old girl. That's traumatizing, bro.
So he's pretty much just a one-man war against all goblins at this point.
Yeah, like
coming to clean house. He ain't coming to shake hands and shit. No.
Nah.
The thing about goblins is they don't just stay that size. They evolve. Like they go through like some Digimon evolution type shit. They become hobgoblins and champion goblins and all this weird. Like they get gigantic and they get buff and strong when the more they learn and the more they like understand from their experiences. They just don't stay them small ass goblins. And they all and like no matter how big or how strong these goblins get, they're still worth one coin.
Wait, hold on. Say that again. No matter how big or strong they get, they're worth one coin when you brought them in.
One coin. If you kill them and you do the bounty or whatever, no matter how strong or how great this goblin is, you only getting paid one coin for this. So that's why in this world, goblins do whatever they want and like they just let the lower levels try to deal with them, and everybody else going out there doing the adventure they want, like going to try to get dragons and all this other shit, because goblins aren't valued. Nobody's trying to do those to get like the risk dying just to get one coin for each goblin they kill.
That's some bullshit. So they indirectly cause the shit upon themselves then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there got to be something done in the government to fix that shit, because that is terrible.
Right. Aaron, bro, like this controversy is really blown out of proportion. Like, yeah,
The
this is such
controversy,
nothing new.
it allows us to talk about this shit, so it's good.
Right. Like this stuff doesn't happen often, but it's really nothing new for more hardcore anime fans. If you're just coming into this your first thing you've seen,
Bro,
I can understand to a degree.
in Devilman Crybaby, they was having a whole like fight, like sex scene in the air.
But they're fucking midair. I was like, I can't with this show.
Wow.
But that was within context of what was already established through the show.
Right.
For example, and the girl was having sex. She was getting raped by the dude, and she bit his head off. Like,
no, she wasn't being raped by them. He said, "Hey, want to have sex?" She said he was gonna rape her. She said, "Fine, let's have sex." And then while they're having sex, yeah, but
rape? What?
She decapitated him and was having sex with a dead body.
But still, she had a gun to his head. He had a gun to her head. That's rape, bro. Like, and then she killed him. That's fucked up. Like, we seen shit like this. Like,
yeah. But again, by that time, we had already seen plenty of context said no to expect that out of the show, because that was like close to the end of the series. This is the very first episode of the series.
I mean, you have to tell at some point. It's best to at the beginning of the show so people actually know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
And now they know this world's dark and unforgiving. You can't fuck around this world.
Something like that.
Right. Like, you mess up, you can get something worse than death. This show, like, they kind of kill off some of the old tropes you see in previous animes and stuff like that. Because everybody expected, these kids, they'll be all right. Kill a bunch of cops come out. No, bro, almost all of them died. And some even worse.
Yeah, like they just answer that question of what happens when you go against these goblins and trolls and you don't come out, solid. So, but hey, I'll catch you guys later. I'm about to head out.
Yeah, we're about to call it here, but like I said, for everyone who was listening on this was a very big topic that was something crazy that we had to talk about, because this isn't something we see all too often anymore, but it was something that needed to be talked about. So hopefully after all this, you know what to expect out of this. Like I said, that's why we want to give you a heads up before you went into the series or the show, knowing what was going to happen and anything like that. So with that being said, here we're about to go ahead and dip out. But before we do, I do want to give a big thanks to everyone in the chat who's been here talking, Sleepy, Fake Mate, and everyone else who is in here. Let's see who we had. Ed Norton, you being in here for a little bit as well, and you too, Dr. Vodka. But especially I want to give a shout out to Post Up for being able to come out here and talk with us, man. Tell them where they can find you, bro.
Man, thanks for having me, man. You can find me on Twitter as Post Up. I got a YouTube channel as well, Post Up. I'm gonna get back. I stopped, kind of fell back on content lately, but I'm gonna start putting out some content since everybody is asking me for it. But I'm also on a multiplayer podcast, Xbox Beastfire podcast, and then on Wednesdays, on certain Wednesday or every other week, we do an Expand Your Mind podcast, either on YouTube or Twitter, which is outside of the realm of gaming. It just go into like religion, UFOs, politics, and all that stuff. So yeah.
All right, man. But it was good having you on here, Post.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
No problem. But for everyone in the chat, from all of us here to y'all, peace out, and we'll check you later, guys.